What would you do if you found out that in the very city that you reside in, the same city that you grew up in, you found out that there was this actual evil cabal, people kind of like the Illuminati, that were the ones behind and running the scenes of the political sphere, controlling all the money, and had their hands on almost every honeypot around the whole city? And they were actually also responsible for a lot of the deaths of previous family members and generations previously inside your very family. What would you do? Also, stack on top of that you're Batman, because I just finished reading The Court of Owls and I have to talk about it because this was awesome. I've never read this before, and I just gotta say, welcome back to Cody Reads Comics. This is the series that is episode 2 in the making of I'm reading comics, and I'm here to talk about it. I have just finished reading Court of Owls, and I am a huge Batman fan. As you can see, I tragically, though, have not read a lot of Batman comics and a lot of comics in general. And as you can see behind me with all this stuff, I'm a huge superhero fan of this type of comic book media, but tragically enough, I have not read a lot of comic books. So in this series, I read comic books for the first time and talk to you guys about them. So if you have any recommendations of what you'd like to see in the future, let me know. Behind me, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, I have Batman Hush and Secret Wars that are on the agenda. Probably going to read Secret Wars closer to the Secret Wars movie coming out, but I might do Batman Hush next if this video does well. So if you have any comic book recommendations for this series, just let me know. But let's just get straight into it because I have a lot to say about Batman: The Court of Owls. Also, if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing. It's the channel's goal to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I absolutely know that we can do that. So thank you guys for watching. Let's just get straight into the video. So boom, the story starts off with Batman taking down criminals, doing his normal thing, and he's narrating, saying that the Gotham Gazette has this style life piece called Gotham Is. And what this refers to is Gotham is a phrase that's used to have 3 words or less describing on what Gotham is. And ever since he was a boy, a lot of the people called Gotham hopeless, a losing game, villainous, cursed, all this sort of stuff. And so he also asks himself every now and then what the answer to Gotham is. And what Batman says is that Gotham is a better, brighter Gotham is just one dream away. So Batman wraps up what he's got to do, and now it's time for Bruce Wayne to go to the Gazette. And we see all 3 Robins there with him in this universe. You've got Dick Grayson, Damian Wade, and Tim Drake, of course. Nothing too crazy happens here at the Gazette. Bruce Wayne goes and gives a speech trying to get people to donate for his fund, where he's gonna take a bunch of Batman resources and Bruce Wayne tech resources and create a better tomorrow with all these different buildings. Really not that important of a plan. But then we meet someone later on in this event, and this man is Lincoln March. He's the COO of March Venture, and he's the current Gotham City mayoral candidate, and Bruce Wayne and him absolutely hit it off. They're both glazing each other, talking about business and all this stuff before it then gets cut off with Batman overhearing Jim Gordon's phone call saying that someone got stabbed to death and he's got to go. He's got to go check in on this guy because there's more important things to do than talk business with this random Lincoln guy. So cut over the crime scene. Turns out this guy is a John Doe. No one can identify who he is. He paid his rent in cash, and he is basically crucified, strung up by something like 52 stab wounds to this guy. It turns out later on in the story, this guy, when he got stabbed, whoever did it knew what they were doing. They avoided every major artery and absolutely just strung this guy up to torture him literally to death. Well, Batman looks at one of the knives, and turns out, what do you see underneath? Well, there's this owl symbol on the knives. That's definitely not going to play into anything in the future. The detective that's there with Batman says that there's actually this old wives' tale about a secret court of, and Batman shuts him up. He says, I know what you're talking about. I don't even want to talk about this. I don't want to hear about it. He realizes that underneath the corpse's fingernails, there's actually some DNA. So he takes a sample and sends it over to Alfred, saying to run a DNA analysis to try and figure out who the killer was that killed this guy. Right when Batman decides it's time to skedaddle, he smells something. He takes the cigar from the detective and throws it at the wall, seeing that he smells paint thinner. And engulfed in flames, we see a secret message hidden in paint thinner that says, Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow. He and the detective discuss and talk that the killer must have known that Batman would find this tonight, meaning that Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow. Right whenever he's leaving, he gets a message on his earpiece from Alfred saying that the DNA analysis came back as a perfect match for no other than Dick Grayson, and that's where the first issue ends. Now, luckily for me, in this saga that I have, I didn't have to wait for the next issue to come out, but turns out, I'm going to spoil it right now, Dick Grayson obviously is not the killer, but I really like the premise that this sets up, is that there's a killer who killed this guy in a very brutal way, stringing him up with a Court of Owl knives, who in this universe, it's kind of like a wives' tale of, is the Court of Owls actually real? And throughout the whole story, we're going to see that Batman is struggling against this identity and the fact that the Court of Owls even exists, because if they existed, of course, Batman, the world's greatest detective, would know about them, right? But it begs the question of, if this Court of Owls is real, do they know that Batman is Bruce Wayne? Because whoever killed this guy, and we think it's the Court of Owls, right? They knew that Batman would find the body, and it says Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow. So it kind of is the psychological psychological back and forth, and I just really love this premise. Issue 2 starts with the Jim Gordon and Batman at the autopsy of the John Doe from the night previously, and introduces this form of tech where Batman has a contacts lens in and can basically have the Batcave computer with him at all times. Bro really thinks he's a Tony Stark with this type of tech. But during the autopsy, they find that this guy has a wisdom tooth filling, and on the filling is actually an old owl, which appears in ancient Greece as a symbol of wealth and power. Batman using this, looking at it, Jim Gordon doubles down on the Court of Owls thing and says, hey, there's this Court of Owls nursery rhyme of back in the day, and Batman again doubles down and says, no, I know what you're talking about, they don't exist, I just know, shut up, stop talking about the Court of Owls. But if the Court of Owls didn't exist, why would this guy have a tooth filling that has an owl on it, and then he died from 52 or something stab wounds where they missed every single artery, and on each little knife and dagger there was an owl that had the same symbol as the tooth filling? I mean, come on, Batman, let's not be stubborn here. Cutting back to the Batcave, we see that Batman was projecting the whole time into the Batcave, this guy's autopsy, and Dick Grayson walks in and says how he actually had a run-in with this guy, and he slightly remembers him, and the reason his DNA was underneath his fingernails is that the guy actually scratched him, and Batman just basically blew it off and said, like, yeah, I trust and believed you the whole time. I never knew or never thought that you were actually going to be the villain. We then cut to the top of the old Wayne Tower where Bruce Wayne and Lincoln March are actually finishing their business conversation from the other night when, boom, out of nowhere, this guy dressed as an owl throws a dagger and cuts a security guard right in the throat, and he falls over and bleeds out and dies, and then throws another dagger straight into Lincoln March's chest, and he falls straight to the ground. And this guy dressed as the owl reminds Bruce Wayne that your time to die is tonight, and Bruce Wayne, realizing that Lincoln March actually isn't dead, he has to lock in and try and defeat this guy and not die, but also can't reveal that he's Batman, and he takes a dagger straight to the forearm and then starts throwing hands with this Talon. Bruce and this Talon start exchanging elbows, but unfortunately for Bruce, he keeps taking daggers to the chest or to different arms, and while fighting, he realizes that he's holding back and he needs to not do that because this Talon might be on some sort of venom, and he is on something because he is really strong and really hard to even choke out like a normal person. Bruce gets reminded that its Court of Owls has sentenced him to die, and then boom, he gets kicked out of the window by this Talon. At the last minute, falling out the window, Bruce is able to grab onto the Talon's leg, pulling him both out of the window, and they're both falling and tumbling mid-air, doing a free fall straight to the ground. At the very last second, Bruce grabs onto a gargoyle, sending the Talon falling and crashing right onto a vehicle down below, Bruce Wayne standing triumphantly on top of this gargoyle, thinking he defeated his enemy. In the last panel of this issue, we see the Talon wake up inside of the ambulance and start murdering all of the paramedics inside, and then drives off victoriously inside of the ambulance. This guy's not going down without a fight. Issue 3 starts off with a flashback to 1922, where we see this crazed man running basically naked throughout the streets, running up to a police officer saying, help me please, they're gonna kill me, they're gonna kill me. And then right before he jumps into the sewer and ends up dying and drowning inside the sewer, we found out that this guy was Mr. Wayne. He was Alan Wayne, Batman's great-great-grandfather. Cutting forward to present day, we see Batman throwing hands, taking down what is called the Whisper Gang, one of the alleged toughest gangs in Gotham. Batman has gone through all 5 toughest gangs in Gotham, trying to figure out who this Owl Man is, because he thinks he's dead, he thinks his problem's gone, but after interrogating and ruthlessly beating up this gang, they all tell him, we have no idea who this Owl Man is, and in Batman's software, where he has the Batcave computer with him, realizes that these people actually are telling the truth, and he says, stay out of my tunnel, and then runs away. Batman and Alfred are back at the Batcave discussing what is going on. They can't find any leads on this owl guy, where then Alfred reminds Batman of his great-great-grandfather Alan, who had an obsession with owls before he passed away, and Batman says that's nonsense, there's nothing about the Court of Owls, none of this is connected, I gotta go see Lincoln March. Apparently he's awake inside the hospital now. At the hospital, Lincoln is questioning Bruce on how he was able to survive that fall, and he said he had good luck or whatever, and then he explains to Bruce how people have been telling him he needs to drop out of the race to be mayor of Gotham City because he's been getting these mysterious owls perched on his window ledge for weeks on end. Lincoln says to Bruce that after the guy that got murdered saying that Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow, who was murdered by the Talon, the Court of Owls assassin, Bruce says, no, it was still a verdict is out on that guy. The Court of Owls are not connected to that murder, and the Court of Owls aren't even real. Bruce then says and asks Lincoln if he's going to drop out of the race, and he says, hell no, I'm not going to drop out of the race just because of some stupid birds. Lincoln tells Bruce the old nursery rhyme of the Court of Owls and basically says to Bruce how he believes that they're real, and Bruce says that he's going to put his best men on Lincoln's security and that he will not have to worry. As Bruce viciously leaves and runs out of the hospital, Lincoln mutters to himself, Bruce, if your best men are watching me, who's going to be watching you? Because someone is still actively trying to kill you, and they think it's because of everything that he said at the Gotham Gazette a few weeks ago about trying to bring a sort of revival initiative to Gotham. Batman said that a fun fact about owls is that he realized that what they do is they invade the enemy's territory, and so he thinks that the Court of Owls, if they're even real, or maybe this just one-off owl guy, is actually invading some of Batman's territory. So he goes back to that old Wayne Tower from earlier, and bingo, he finds the nest built inside of his home, and finds all of this Court of Owls disguise and memorabilia, and Batman finds a painting of these people dressed in suit and tie with these owl masks dating all the way back to June 1891. So Batman then thinks to himself, if this Court of Owls even is true and is real, even though he thinks it's not, let's look at these other Wayne buildings that are out there and see if there's more owl nests inside of them. And wouldn't you know, there are. There's photos taken back in different types of buildings from June 1919, from June 1929, all the way back to June 1936 to 63. There are all these different types of owl bases inside of Wayne Towers in Wayne-funded buildings, which ultimately leads to the conclusion of Batman thinking that, yeah, this Court of Owls thing might actually be true. Upon this discovery, Batman calls Alfred and says he was right. Lincoln, he was right about everything. And Alfred says, sir, what do you mean? I don't understand. He says, about the owls, about the Court of Owls, about the nest. It's true. It's real. All of it is real. They're in our homes. Bruce, looking at the most recent painting from June 2016, shows the Talon that attacked him at Wayne Tower with a Court of Owls in suits and the owl mask from all the previous generations. It's all coming to Bruce. He realizes it's all connected. It's all real. They've been nesting inside of the Wayne family, inside of the Wayne Enterprise. They've been in the back seats behind the shadows the whole time through all these generations. His great-great-grandfather was right. Lincoln March was right. Everyone, all the nursery rhymes, Jim Gordon, everyone was right. And then boom, it culminates in an explosion at the top of the building that Batman is in. And we cut down to the last frame of this issue and we see the Talon that killed all those people in the ambulance, the one that attacked Bruce at the top of Wayne Tower, sitting there menacingly with the flames and the reflection of his goggles holding an owl. Lucky for Batman, he doesn't scare easily. The next issue opens up with him jumping out of the building that's on fire that had just gotten blown up, punching the Talon straight in the jaw, and then flying away, retreating to the Batcave. Back at the cave, Bruce and Dick Grayson are talking as he's going over the autopsy and looking at these old bones of his great-great-grandfather Alan Wayne, and Robin is insisting to Bruce that you need to look into this. The Court of Owls might actually be true. Batman again is just doubling down on his stubbornness, saying that no, it's not true. I'm just trying to find if there's any clues on these bones that could date back to the 1800s where these type of organizations could exist, but I'm telling you, it's not true. There's no evidence of it. And Robin calls out Bruce saying, you're being so stubborn, you're being so stupid, to which Batman tells him to shut up because when he was a little kid, he looked into the Court of Owls and he found nothing. It was not real. We get a flashback to when Bruce was a little kid and he's narrating this, saying that he couldn't accept that some Joe Chill or a Joe Schmo had killed his parents. There's no way it could have just been a random chance. He knew deep down there had to be something bigger at work. So he vowed to get revenge, and after murdering a few owls, nothing crazy there obviously, he just goes and trying to find some sort of way to expose these people because he knew that his parents couldn't have just been killed by a one-off. There had to have been something deeper down going on behind the scenes. He began to do his own investigation, solving and looking and realizing that there are owls everywhere. There are these intimidating clues that keep presenting themselves to Bruce. He knew deep down there had to have been something deeper. He looked at the business partners that his parents had, realizing that all of them tied back to this owl club. He figured it out. He thought he knew that there was actually this Court of Owls and that there was actually an upper room at one of the buildings in the schematics that they all used to meet at back in the day. Right above the crescent that actually was shaped like an owl, there was this secret meeting, this secret room back there where they would do all these nefarious meetings. Bruce knew that if he could get to that, he could find the Court of Owls and find the men behind his parents' deaths. But when he went there as a little boy, he went and searched in that secret room. What he actually found was dust. There was nothing. No answers, no villains, just an empty room that hadn't been used in years. He was so shocked by that he didn't realize that the door behind him had locked and closed underneath his feet, and turns out Bruce was actually locked up in there for about a week until Alfred finally came and found him and realized that, yeah, there's nothing up here. Bruce almost died. He was comatose up there as a little kid. We flash forward back to present day, and Bruce is explaining to Robin how he spent 3 weeks recovering in the hospitals, and he learned a valuable lesson back then to not build his detective skills based on your emotions and have that guide your case. He needs facts instead. He realizes that he needed there to be a Court of Owls, some great evilness murder back in the day that killed his parents, but There was nothing. It was actually just a one-off chance. And Robin tries to help Bruce in his grief, saying that you just wanted evidence. You thought there was something deeper, but you were just a kid, Bruce. Maybe there could have been more evidence. Maybe you should look at it now as an adult, as the Batman. And Batman says, no, I've looked into this. I am the Batman. There's nothing. If there was a Court of Owls, they'd have something to go off of, but there's not. So stop, because clearly there isn't. Batman leaves saying that he has a lead he needs to follow up on and goes down into the Gotham City sewers, saying that once he found something on his bones from his great-great-grandfather Alan Wayne's body when he died and drowned in the sewer, he found a residue, something sort of like a metamorphic rock, some sort of dust. It's strange because the sewer system is almost entirely constructed out of granite, but that never ceases to surprise him because Gotham always has some sort of mystery up its sleeve, and then right whenever he says that, boom, Batman gets tackled and broken through the granite in the sewer, falling all the way down into pitch black as we see the Talon from earlier is the one shoving Bruce's face into the dirt, into the granite, into the rock, falling them down into this bottomless pit. Upon landing in the pit, we see that there is this huge labyrinth of a maze, to which the Talon says, welcome Batman to the labyrinth. And Batman then gets stabbed right through the chest with these knives from the Talon as the issue ends and he is all alone in the pitch black dark underneath Gotham City, underneath the sewers, in this maze constructed by the Court of Owls. It was at this point when reading the saga that I was dove deep into the story, and I knew that this was going to be something great, because there's this mystery gang that Batman's investigated as a kid, but is for some reason refusing to follow up on as an adult, as the Batman, because he thinks there's no evidence behind it. But clearly, to everyone else around him, there is the evidence to support that the Court of Owls are real. There's the guy that got stabbed, or the John Doe, that had about 52 cut wounds with all these knives and daggers that all had an owl crescent on them. He realized underneath his tooth as well, there was a filling that had the Court of Owls symbol on the filling. There's a Talon that has been trying to kill him. The elect mayor, basically, the guy who's gonna win the mayor election for Gotham City, has been plagued and haunted by owls, and the Court of Owls as well, who tried to kill him and Bruce as well. There's all these different evidence that's pointing towards the Court of Owls being real, but for some reason Batman's like, no, it's not real. And then he gets tackled underneath the sewer where his great-great-grandfather died and is exposed into this huge labyrinth maze. This was awesome. I'm so locked in. I was so hooked in. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Let's just get straight back into the issue. The next issue starts with Jim Gordon being depressed, talking to the same detective from earlier in the story as they're leaving on the bat signal. And the detective says that the bulb is going to break because it's been on for 8 days straight and that Batman is nowhere to be found. Jim Gordon still believes and says that he'll be back because Gotham's hurting and that people are out there on his side supporting him, waiting. The whole city is waiting for Batman. And we see Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, Damian Wayne, all the Robins going out there, Batgirl, Catwoman, Alfred, everyone is out here hurting, trying to finish Batman's mission, but everyone's looking for Batman. Where is the Batman? We then cut to Batman, who's dark deep into this mystery labyrinth that we saw earlier, and he is not looking well. He is looking really rough. He's saying that the water from this one well is obviously drugged, but it's been 8 days. He's screaming in pain. He has to drink something, just a sip, but he realizes every time he sips out of this well, out of this pool that they're giving him, he's getting worse and worse, and his mental is deteriorating. As Bruce is stumbling around in the dark, finding nothing but dead ends, some lights flash on. He finally is in a room with light, and he sees that on the wall are a lot of pictures, a lot of headshots, and it's revealed that there's all these people on this wall, all these pictures that have been taken of people that the Court of Owls had manipulated and killed, and then he thinks that he's going to eventually be on this wall as well when he runs into people in suits, as he realizes, but then no, that's actually just a hallucination. Bruce is struggling. He is trying to say that he wants to rip these people limb from limb, but he's finding nothing. Bruce is digging on the floor with his fingers, thinking he finds something, but it's revealed that he is just tripping. He is out of his mind, stumbling in his own mental prison and in this maze as well. Not only has Bruce actually been in this physical maze, but his mind is now a maze and he has no idea what's real. As the panels of this comic book start to flip horizontally to then upside down, we see that Bruce is stumbling. He is not looking well. He finds a bunch of caskets and realizes that this is not going going to be his fate. He's not going to be one of these people in this casket. He thinks he sees his parents. He thinks that what he's hallucinating is real, and he starts clawing after them, realizing that his parents aren't real. Everything is going poorly for Batman. He has utterly lost his mind when out of nowhere he gets shanked and stabbed right through the chest with the blade, and it's revealed to be the Talon. And then the bulb breaks, and we look in present day. We see Damian Wade yelling at Commissioner Gordon, trying to find new hope, trying to find a new bulb to put into the bat signal, because Batman is down. No one knows where he is, and deep down in reality, he is underneath Gotham City, physically stabbed through the chest by the Talon, bleeding out in this labyrinth maze. The next issue starts with Batman being stabbed once again through the stomach by the Talon, with pictures of Batman already taken on the wall. The Talon saying, "Batman, the Court of Owls has sentenced you to die." Batman's on the ground holding his stomach as the Talon runs away. Turns out that Talon was just taking another picture of Batman. He snaps his photo and then smacks him in the face with the camera, and he picks him up Bane style, about to snap his back and throw him on the ground, and he says, "I present to you the Batman. How do you wish to see him die?" It's revealed we then see the Court of Owls on top of the walls, on top of the maze and the labyrinth that Batman is entrapped inside of, looking like they're straight out of hell, with this depiction of everyone having extremely skinny bones and long claws, screaming, "Break his neck, no, bleed him out, take his feet, pull his spine out, let the littlest decide." And then we see a little girl holding a little baby doll saying, "Hurt him more." The Talon says, "My pleasure, my lady," throwing Batman straight into the wall, giving him left hook after right hook, punching him, uppercut, hitting him in the stomach as the Court of Owls on top of the labyrinth is screaming, "More, more, more." This looks like a depiction of hell out of Dante's Inferno, as Batman's getting punched into the face, his head thrown through the walls as he crashes through the labyrinth brick walls that we see. The Court of Owls is then determined to kill Batman, and he says, "The Batman is finished. It is done. Take his bones, the court. He is yours." As Batman is getting ripped to shreds, getting clawed on top of his chest, Batman thinks, "This is it. This is time. Just let them take you and it will all be over. The fight will be done." And then, out of nowhere, he sees the face of Alan Wayne, his great-great-grandfather. The picture frame falls right next to his face, and he says, "No, Alan was scared. Someone had to help him. He was calling out for him. This is enough. This is it. I am the one to save and put down the Court of Owls." Batman erupts, screaming enough in this depiction of him looking like a monster, throwing all of these owls onto the ground beneath him, realizing that he is enough. He is still alive. The Court of Owls saying, "He is alive. Run. He's there." The Talon standing still saying, "Well, well, well. Look at you. There's still some fight in you." Beating your wings, gnashing your little fangs, thinking that the owls are actually going to take down, being destroyed by the bat. The two of them start fighting, giving him left hook after right hook. The Talon snatches Batman's fist, throwing it right back at him, punching him in the face, saying, "The owls are the ones to defeat the bats. We are your natural enemy." Batman regaining his strength, saying that, "You've been leading me around, showing me things that you wanted me to see for days. It's now my turn, so take a look." Batman takes the Talon and brushes him through the wall and says, "You see this city?" As there's a diorama in a small city of Gotham beneath him, saying, "For you, it's not the real Gotham. It's just an arts and craft project, but I'm the Batman. This is my city. You are at my mercy now, because this is my city and you're nothing but a hired thug. You're a pawn. You're not special. No matter what they've told you, no matter what you tell yourself, you're not really who you think you are. This is finished." As Batman punches him in the face, knocking him through the wall once again, ultimately defeating the Talon. Batman, being Batman after now sober-minded, finds a way to, for some reason, blow up the wall that he is trapped inside of and runs out of the labyrinth, swimming through the sewer, and runs away back to the Batcave. When revealed, there's this really decrepit old lady, looking like that skinny lady from SpongeBob, that stick old lady with an owl mask on her face in a wheelchair, saying that that was really fun to watch and that it was thrilling. The Court of Owls, who's pushing this lady, asks what they should just do with the Talon. She says, "Dispose of them, because we have more on the way." And it's revealed in all of those coffins that Batman was looking at earlier were different Talons. So thinking that Batman just won after he defeated, quote-unquote, the Court of Owls just being one Talon, it's revealed that there are now multiple Talons. There's probably 10 to 20 different Talons that are about to be woken up and sent after Batman. The fight is just now beginning. Batman, getting back to the Batcave, is horrified when he realizes that Alfred has the Talon, for some reason, tied up and presented in the middle of the Batcave. But Alfred relieves his pain, saying that no, he is dead. We've made sure. This is just his body. And that's when Batman realizes that the person that he was fighting inside that labyrinth must not have been the original Talon, and that there are now multiples of them. We cut some time forward and we see Bruce and Nightwing talking in the Batcave about this corpse they have sitting in front of them, and he explains to Robin that this is actually a dead person. This was a reanimated corpse that the Court of Owls was able to bring back to life. Through some comic book bullcrap, we see that the tooth that was embedded inside of that John Doe that they saw earlier, that was shaped like a tiny owl, was actually a compound that they were able to use to reanimate and light up the corpse, kind of like a spark wire. Doing so, they're basically getting a second chance on life, and they're a reanimated corpse, and that explains why this Talon was able to fall from the top of Wayne Tower and come back to life and kill all of those paramedics and chase after Batman once again. Batman reveals to Dick Grayson that this specific Talon is actually his great-great-grandfather, not Batman's, but Robin's great-great-grandfather. Upon this tragic realization, Nightwing says, "There's something that you're not telling me, Bruce. I can feel it. What are you telling me? I'm a big guy. I'm an adult. I can take this." To which Batman gives him a back hook, punching Robin right in the face, having his blood fly out of his mouth, and we actually see a tooth on the ground next to his bloody mouth, to which Batman picks it up, shoves it in Robin's face, and we see a gold crescent owl on this tooth saying that you were supposed to be one, Dick. You were supposed to be a Talon. Robin says, "How do you know? How did you realize this?" He says, "The circus. What these people do is they kill these people's parents, and then once they're orphans, they kidnap these children. But when I rescued you, I stopped you from being a Talon, but obviously not close enough. They embedded this tooth into you so that way, once they were to take you and then you were to die, you would be a Talon for them. But since I saved you, you still had this Talon, which is why I just punched you in the face to take it out of your mouth. But I just saved your life. So stop saying I'm the bad guy when I'm the one that saved you." Robin then says, "You're underestimating them. You're making a mistake. You need to have me help you with this." Batman being Batman says, "Robin, Nightwing, I'm sorry, but this is something I have to do on my own." We then cut and see about 20 Talons reanimated and the main Court of Owls saying, "Tonight we will kill our enemy and take our city back. Go kill the Batman." Back at Wayne Manor, Bruce is talking to Alfred, looking over his plans to help rebuild Gotham from the Gotham Initiative, when Bruce says to Alfred that he's been such an arrogant fool. Alfred trying to comfort him, saying that you, sir, come from a long line of arrogant fools. When thump, they hear something, and Bruce says, "We've got an intruder. Get to the Batcave." And Alfred says, "Sir, I can help you." He said, "No need. I have the earpiece and lens from earlier. I have the Batcave at my fingertips, basically. Get down to the Batcave, Alfred." As soon as Alfred gets back to the cave, a Talon jumps in through the windows and attacks Bruce, saying, "The Court of Owls has sentenced you," and Batman says, I know, and then he realizes, oh no, there's too many Talons here. "Alfred, get into position. I need you. Alfred." And then Alfred announces, "They're coming from all sides of the manor, sir. There's even one coming down into the Batcave." And Bruce says, "Alfred, are you there? Are you there?" To which Alfred does not respond. Bruce, realizing that he has to go save Alfred, being overwhelmed with the amount of Talons inside, breaks through the window, trying to get to the roof to run outside, to which he is then tackled, to his surprise, being attacked by even more Talons, Bruce narrowly escaping, running through the chimney, falling straight down all the way down into the Batcave. Upon landing in the Batcave, we see a one Talon just snooping around, about to fight Bruce, to which Alfred then pushes the giant penny on top of the Talon, smushing him beneath, to which Batman steals some of their techs, and they run into an escape room. Inside this escape room bunker, Batman and Alfred are discussing about what to do about all the Talons, to which Bruce says to lower the temperature inside the whole Batcave and the whole manor to -0. Lower it all the way. We're going to freeze out these guys because they're technically not dead. They're undead, but due to the compound in their blood, due to the live wire tooth thingy, if they make it really cold in there, long story short, these Talons are going to die. And Batman says he's going to buy Alfred time because they're going to break into this bunker. So then Batman puts on this Batman versus Superman type of mechanical mech armor and says, "Get the hell out of my house," and then just starts clobbering time on all of these Talons, going crazy, murdering them, doing as much as he can to get these Talons to stay out of his house, to buy Alfred with enough time to get all of the Talons' blood pressure and temperature down all the way down to -0 so they will all die. The good thing about this, though, is that they're technically undead, so Batman is just killing these Talons. I mean, he's not really killing them, but he's doing things that if these were normal people, they would definitely be dying, as we see Batman narrating to himself in this mech suit that he's glad they're undead because he can do things and actually play rough for once. Right when Batman thinks he has the upper hand, he gets attacked by even more Talons. They're breaking and piercing through his suit, trying to kill him as best as they can, but the suit is barely hanging on. Alfred letting Bruce know that this temperature, it's getting lower, but he's going to die if he's out there, and especially if that suit is broken, to which Batman activates his dinosaur that he has called Fido inside of the Batcave, to this mechanical dinosaur is reanimated and steps on and destroys the remaining Talons, saying, "You think this will stop us?" as there's still Batmobile being stepped on by this dinosaur, being ripped to pieces. Batman's doing everything he can to kill them as well. Batman realizing that he's going to black out because of how cold it's getting in there. He's saying goodbye, basically saying that he's gonna die. This last talon pierces through Batman's armor, pierces through the mask that he has on, gets within an inch of his eye, to which Alfred says he's coming out there to help. Batman says, no, stay in there, and overrides the mechanical doors, trapping Alfred inside the armory, realizing that he might die doing this, but it's okay because he's not going to let anyone else die at his own expense. Eventually, these talons will die because of the cold temperature, when just in the nick of time, a swarm of bats come into the cave and start tearing up and ripping through the talons, as well as giving Bruce enough time to get back up on his feet and killing the rest of them. As one final talon tries to make an escape, Bruce gets in the Batmobile and just runs this guy over as he leaves the Batcave, saying he's going out, he's got more things to do. Lower the temperature, you'll be fine, Alfred, you'll be safe in there. Once all the temperature gets back to normal, you'll be okay, but I'm going out, I got things to take care of. Batman, driving as fast as he can, goes to Lincoln March's office, to which he sees, to his surprise, a talon had just stabbed Lincoln through the chest. Lincoln shot the talon in the head and killed him, but it was too late. He had just gotten stabbed in the chest. He's talking to a bleeding out Lincoln, saying to take this is the notes, this is everything Lincoln knows about the Court of Owls, and to get it to Bruce Wayne because he's someone that's being targeted by the court, to which he then watches Lincoln March bleed out. After looking at the note that Lincoln left Bruce, he realizes and finds the final address and the final home of the Court of Owls. Batman goes and of course pays him a visit, finding that skinny old lady from earlier in the labyrinth, revealing that he took down her husband and that she's next. She lets him know that they have talons all throughout the city, and that even if he kills her or takes her down, there's more to come, and that they'll never get the city back, and that the city is for the Court of Owls and not Batman. Batman, after talking with Alfred, realizes that there's some sort of blackout zone, a place where he had not looked before, a place where he realizes that the Court of Owls have been this entire time. Batman, going back to that child manor that he did a long time ago when he was a kid, realizing that there must be something there. The Court of Owls are now there. They must have hidden from him when he was a child. He breaks into the same hatch that he did all those years ago to realize that the Court of Owls had killed themselves. They were all drugged and poisoned, and there before him lays an entire table of the Court of Owls all dead from drinking poison. What's going on here? We then cut to the next day with Batman sitting in his chair back at Wayne Manor, reminiscing, realizing that he must have missed something. Why? It doesn't make sense. Why would the Court of Owls all kill themselves and take their lives just because Batman was onto them? This Illuminati, this evil cabal that has been around for years on end, manipulating and being behind the scenes all throughout Gotham, why would they kill themselves right whenever Batman is trying to take them down without putting up a fight? They sent all these talons out. What is going on? He doesn't get it. When reminiscing and looking at a picture of his parents that he has in the manor, it clicks with him. He realizes there's one last thing Bruce had never been able to piece together until now. As he leaves, Alfred asks where he's going, and Batman says there's one last thing he has to check out. As Batman arrives to Willowwood, the home for children, he explains that this was a satellite scrubbed hospital for children in Gotham that were struggling with mental orders and different type of neurological diseases, and realizes that this is probably where they have been all this time. This huge headquarters, this huge hospital had been abandoned years ago and left these children to be neglected and rotten and starved, just to die because of the sinkhole that had once plagued this hospital. Batman thinks and realizes that this might be where the Talons were created. This might be where the Court of Owls had kidnapped these children and left them quote-unquote there to die, to take them and then reanimate them later, years later, as the Talons. While investigating, out of nowhere, suddenly Batman gets shot at with a net gun of all things for some reason. It encapsulates Batman and he is down on the ground, to whose surprise walks out of the shadows a reanimated Lincoln March. Batman says there's no way you're real because Lincoln March isn't real. He was a paper man, a fall guy created by the Court of Owls. To which then it's time for exposition dumps. Lincoln then dumps all the lore on Batman of what is going on. The reanimated Lincoln March explains to Batman while putting on this mech armored owl suit that he was once a child here at the hospital. He was once forgotten by everyone who loved him and then was kidnapped and raised by the Court of Owls to then take down Batman. The surprise plot twist that is revealed to Batman is that Lincoln March is actually Batman's forgotten long-lost brother, to which Batman says, I never once had a brother, to which he then responds and says to Batman, yes you did, your parents forgot about me because I had a mental disorder, blah blah blah, all this stuff. He puts on the suit. Batman says, you're out of your mind. He rips out of the net. Lincoln then says, in the owl suit, let's finish this one last time, brother to brother, owl to bat, and that's the end of issue 10. The reanimated Lincoln and Batman start throwing jabs left and right, throwing each other through the walls, breaking everything in sight, throwing as much as they absolutely can at each other, as Lincoln then explains to Batman how he is his brother, and Batman does not believe it. He says, no, it's not true, you're lying, you were lied to, Lincoln, to which then Lincoln throws Batman out of the building. Batman catches onto him with a grappling hook. To his surprise, now Lincoln can suddenly fly in this owl suit, and he takes him on a joyride throughout the city, explaining to him how he actually is his brother, crashing him through the buildings and everything, telling Batman to look into a mirror to get a grip because he was lied to, not Lincoln. Batman's mother is the key to all of this. He's the reason why Lincoln was hidden from Batman. He needs to remember. Lincoln letting Bruce know that he's actually Thomas Wayne Jr. He is the son, the older brother of Batman. He lets him know that he got into a car crash when he was a young kid. He had a mental disorder for a few weeks where he was basically comatose, but Lincoln was alive throughout all of it. Lincoln tries to throw Batman in a plane. Long story short, he says that he was forgotten. His parents forgot him and put him in this hospital, to which that's how the Talons then took him and took care of him and turned him into who he is. Batman saying, this isn't true. You were lied to. You were never my brother. My parents would not have done that to you. My parents were loving. They loved me. Why do you not believe me? Why do you think that my parents would do something like this to you? Batman then gets thrown into another building after falling out of the plane, to which Lincoln says, why won't you just stay dead, brother? I've been gone all these years. If you were really my brother, if you really loved me, you would have known who I was. You would have looked for me, but no, my parents lied to both of us, and now I have to kill you for some reason. After this brutal fight, which Batman somehow survives, even though he's not in the mech suit anymore, but Lincoln is, they're at the top of this Wayne Tower, to which then it blows up and it falls 9/11 style, straight demolition style, down to the ground, and Lincoln's body is never recovered. We then flash forward to a few days later where Batman is hurt, sitting in a wheelchair in front of the fireplace at Wayne Manor, talking to Alfred and Dick Grayson, saying how they didn't find the body. There's no way to actually do a DNA analysis to see if Lincoln March was actually his brother, and without that body they'll never be able to know. And so then Bruce is asked by Dick, are you sure that Lincoln was right? Do you know if he was lying or not? Batman tells Dick that there actually was another Wayne child for basically one day. His mother did get in a car crash when she was pregnant, but he looked through all the hospital records, and what ended up happening is that his brother, the one that was in the womb, basically died. He was a permanent vegetative state and lived through the initial trauma of the car accident, but they ended up comatose, putting down his brother because he didn't live. He lived for one single night, and then they put him down because he would have been in a vegetative state all of his life. Dick Grayson then asked Bruce if there's any way that he could have been lied to or the falsified records could have been scrubbed and that he actually did have a brother. Bruce tells Dick that no, I looked through all the evidence. There is absolutely no way he survived. Lincoln March is just a crazy man who got told this lie and was manipulative and unfortunately was at the hand of the Owls, and because of that he was lied to his whole life and had an evil vendetta and vengeance against the Wayne family. Dick asks one last time, are you sure? And he said, I'm definitely sure, but there's no way for us to actually ever be able to know unless we look at his DNA. But after the tower fell, there's no evidence, no DNA, no body left, but I'll always be watching, and no matter what happens, I will always be here to defend the city. And that's the end of the Court of Owls saga. Yes, there's right here where the bookmark is how much I read. There's a little bit left of a prologue, which might reveal that Lincoln was actually alive and survived the fall. I don't know. I'm not going to read this yet. I'm going to let it sit for a few days because I literally just finished this yesterday. So I want to read the prologue later on once I've had some time to reflect about this. But I really, really enjoyed this. The literal only nitpick that I have with this sort of stuff is it's the same problem that I have with the Flash TV show series, where they'll introduce a new character at the beginning of the season, and then once a bad guy shows up, they're like, I wonder who the bad guy is. Well, it's the person that you introduced in season 1 that was never in any of the previously existing seasons. I'm a huge Batman fan, but I obviously don't know all the lore of the character. Lincoln March, to my knowledge, was never a character I was familiar with, so there's 11 chapters in this series, and about chapter 4, I thought to myself, Lincoln March is probably the bad guy behind all that, and then later on it was revealed that he was. So that's like the only nitpick that I have, and the fact that Bruce Wayne, this is an overall Batman nitpick, but it's part of the character, he is just thrown through buildings, through walls, falling off buildings, shot, stabbed, and never dies. This dude obviously has superpowers, but that's the fantastical element of the character, which I love. But besides that small nitpick of Lincoln March being the bad guy and he was introduced early on, I think this was a really, really good series, and it's no wonder that the Court of Owls saga is one of the best Batman series and stories told. So I really like this, but overall, what did you guys think? Did you guys like the story? Was this your first time ever being exposed to the story like it was for myself as well? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and truly, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love making these videos, and I love making the comic book videos because I've never read these stories before, and when I do Hush or Secret Wars or whatever comic you guys suggest, and if it gets enough like likes or comments, then I'll do it because I love making these videos. Part of my favorite part of this is just being exposed to new fantastical stories and then sharing my thoughts on the internet, sharing my thoughts with you guys to see if you guys have liked them as well. So thank you guys truly so much for watching. I have to beg, if you guys haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. There'll be more content like this coming in the future, and it'll help my channel grow, help me know you guys like these videos, and I'll keep making more because of them, and hopefully we can get to that 10,000 subscriber goal that I have soon. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy the videos, and as always, take care. Bye.